It started on a rainy Tuesday. Ethan Carter, a name you probably wouldn't know, but a man who quietly sat atop one of America's fastest-growing tech empires, was on his way to finalize a $28 billion acquisition that would reshape the global AI landscape. The world had labeled him a genius, a disruptor. But what the world didn't know was that Ethan Carter had grown up in a small town in Ohio, raised by a single mother who cleaned motel rooms for a living. And he never forgot what it meant to be unseen. That morning, his private jet landed early in London. The rain clung to the city like a soft curtain, and the streets shimmered under the dim light. Ethan decided, against his assistant's protests, to grab a quick coffee at a small hotel near Hyde Park before heading to the final negotiation. And that's where everything changed. Inside the modest lobby of the Westbourne Inn, Ethan watched as a young black woman in a hotel uniform stood nervously at the front desk, speaking to a visibly angry guest. The man was red-faced, suit immaculate, his voice slicing through the quiet lobby. "I don't want your kind touching my things," the man spat. "Get someone decent out here." Ethan felt his stomach knot. He saw the woman, her name tag read Amara, flinch, but she didn't react the way many would expect. No tears, no argument, just a quiet, practiced apology. "I'm sorry, sir. I'll fetch my manager right away." And she turned to leave. That moment stayed with him. Not the man's cruelty. That, unfortunately, wasn't new to the world. But Amara's composure. The grace it took to stay steady in the face of small, seething hatred. As she passed, Ethan caught her eye, just for a second. And in that glance, he saw his mother. He saw every weary worker. Every person who'd swallowed unfairness to keep their job. He stood up. "Excuse me," he said, stepping towards the desk. The room fell silent. "I believe you owe this young lady an apology." The businessman scoffed. "And who the hell are you?" Ethan pulled out his phone and tapped a few times. The man's face paled as his screen lit up with an email notification. "Ethan Carter, CEO of Nexera Industries. I'm the guy you've been chasing for that $28 billion merger," Ethan said quietly. "Or rather, the guy you were chasing. Consider the deal dead." The entire lobby froze. The businessman stammered, his confidence evaporating like morning mist. "Mr. Carter, please." But Ethan was already walking toward Amara. "Are you all right?" he asked her. Amara blinked, as if trying to place who this stranger was. She nodded slowly, the weight of years pressing into that small gesture. "I'm fine," she whispered. But her eyes told a different story. And here's where it gets interesting. What Ethan did next wasn't a PR stunt. He didn't make a viral video. There were no press releases. He simply asked Amara if she wanted a better job. At first, she thought it was a joke. A stranger promising her a dream? That wasn't how the world worked. But a week later, Amara found herself on a plane to Nexera's New York headquarters, working in community outreach, a role she quickly redefined. She built job training programs for underprivileged youth, created hiring pipelines for survivors of abuse, and became one of the company's most beloved voices. The canceled deal sent shockwaves through the industry. Stock prices dipped, competitors whispered, but Ethan didn't care. He knew some things were worth more than a bottom line. And then came the twist. Months later, a small, quiet report made its way to Ethan's desk. It was an AI ethics study led by Amara's new department. In it, they uncovered a flaw in Nexera's technology, one that could have been exploited by the very company they nearly merged with. Had the deal gone through, it would have endangered the privacy of millions. In saving Amara, Ethan had unknowingly saved his company. The emotional climax came quietly. At Nexera's annual gala, Ethan introduced Amara to the stage. She spoke, not about the incident, not about revenge or injustice, but about the power of seeing people. "How many brilliant, kind, hardworking souls do we ignore every day?" she asked the room. "The woman cleaning your office. The man who holds the door open. The kid delivering your groceries. What would happen if we saw them?" The room stood still. And then, it stood up. A standing ovation for a woman who, months earlier, was invisible. The story spread quietly at first. Then a journalist picked it up. The article went viral. Not because of scandal, but because in a world addicted to outrage, it was a story of decency. A CEO who chose kindness over profit. A worker who turned grace into leadership. And a deal that, in dying, saved far more than dollars. The message? It's simple. The measure of a person, of a company, a country, a world, isn't in how we treat the powerful. It's how we treat those who can offer us nothing. Because sometimes, the smallest act of humanity rewrites futures. And if you're lucky, maybe your own.